we looked at the other question, the third question, and the third question came in 2010. And in 2010, the question reads: a stone is projected vertically upwards with a speed of 30 meters per second from the top of the tower of height 50 meters. That means, if you can recall the cases, there was a particular case I discussed here in which the object is projected from a point above the ground. That means you are no more on the ground level and you go at a height above the ground level and then you project an object vertically upwards. There was a case, that was the third case. You will not be on the ground, you go at a particular point above the ground, then you project the object vertically upwards. That is what they are doing here. So we are now saying, let this one be the horizontal ground, and somebody wanted to sight this point. The person knows very well that if he is on the ground, whatever object the person throws, that object will not be able to reach the target point. So what the person did now was to go up to a height above the ground. The person is now on top of the tower. That is, the height of the tower is here. Now the person is now at this point. That person will now send the stone or whatever object. When the person sends the object will now hit the targeted point at this point, and then the object comes down this way. Now, we said last that if the distance of the man from the ground, if the distance of the man from the ground is D, then from where the man is to the highest point will be H. If you can go to the videos, you can see it. The distance of the man from the ground is D. So if that is the case, the distance from where the man is to the top is H. Now we got an equation here that says the total distance from the ground. If you want to get the total distance from the ground, total distance, because the question is saying neglecting air resistance, determine the maximum height it reached from the ground. So total distance from the ground, if you want to get the total distance from the ground, it will be, have in mind, total distance from the ground is from here to the ground. So if that is the case, it is from here to here D plus from here to here H. You are going to combine this H and the D here. So that total distance becomes D plus H. We now move. I read the question again. A stone is projected vertically upwards with a speed of 30 meters per second. We have the right to say speed, U, is the symbol for that speed, 30 meters per second. From the top of a tower of height, 50 meters. So the height where the man is, the tower is here, the top of the tower. The top of the tower is at this point where the man is. They are now saying from the top of a tower of height 50 meters. That means the height of this tower is 50 meters. What does that mean? That the height from here to this point is the height of the tower. That is 50 meters from here to there. And from here to here is represented by D. So that tells us that the D is 50 meters. We now want to get the distance, maximum height above the ground, and we said the formula for the maximum height above the ground is D plus H. So if we substitute here, we have D plus H. Anytime you send an object vertically upward, if you go to the videos, you see that the formula is U squared divided by 2G. That was the formula we stated for an object that is projected vertically upwards. So if you substitute the value, D down here is D is 50 meters plus U is 30. That becomes 30 square divided by 2 times the gravity is always 10 meters per second square. That means 2 times 10. This is giving us 50 plus 30 square is the same as 30 times 30 divided by 2 times 10 here, 2 times 10. 0 cancels this one. We have 2 can go here, 1, 2 can go into 30, 15 times. That is giving us 50 plus 15 times 3 is 45. So if that is the case, 45 plus 50 here becomes 95 meters. The total height above the ground is 45 and 95 meters. We looked at 2014, another question in 2014. And the question reads, a particle is projected horizontally. Horizontally means they are dropping the object from a height above the ground. You want to put the object down. That is what we call horizontal motion. So the other name for horizontal motion is when you drop the object vertically downwards. Now, they are saying a particle is projected horizontally at 10 meters per second from the top of a tower 20 meters high. The object was, let us say this is the ground level, the tower was at this point, that is tower. The height of that particular tower was given as 20 meters. From the top of the tower, 20 meters. That means the height of the tower above the ground is 20 meters. The top of the tower is at this point. There the particle is. The particle is at this point. And you release the particle. When you release the particle will fall on the ground. We said when the particle reaches the ground, it will move. And when it moves on the ground, whatever distance it covers on the ground, when it is on the ground, whatever distance it covers is known as horizontal range. So this distance, the horizontal distance traveled is the same as horizontal range. So if that is the case, they are now saying a particle is projected horizontally at 10 meters per second. Therefore, the velocity here, u, is 10 meters per second. That is the velocity, 10 meters per second. From the top of a tower, 20 meters high. That is what I have indicated here. So the height here, from here to here, which is h, is the same as 20 meters, but the speed is 10 meters per second. The question says, calculate the horizontal distance traveled. The horizontal distance traveled by the particle when it hits the ground. Calculate the horizontal distance. Calculate the horizontal distance traveled by the particle when it hits the level ground. That means the horizontal distance traveled is the range here. And the formula you know for the range is u times t. That was the formula we stated for the range. We went further also to give expression that small t is the same as square root of 2h divided by g, if you recall. Anytime the object is falling, the formula for small t is 2h divided by g. You can see that here. So the formula for small t is 2h, square root of 2h divided by g. We can substitute. The range equals u here is 10 meters per second, that is 10 times square root of 2 times the height. Height of the tower here is 20 meters. That becomes 20, everything divided by 10. This cancels, 0 cancels. You get the range equals 10 times square root of 2 times 2 is 4. That is 10 times the square root of 4 is 2. The total distance, horizontal distance traveled on the ground becomes 20 meters. All questions can be solved